The forest was falling apart. It began with the sound, dry leaves cracking under the bare feet of an Australopithecus matriarch as she sprinted through the thinning woodland, weaving between dying acacia trees while clutching a bundle of sour yellow fruits. Behind her, the rest of the small troop followed. 3 adult females, a dominant male with scarred shoulders, 2 sub-adult males, and a single infant clinging to its mother's fur. Their chests heaved, breaths sharp, as the distant thunder of hooves shook dust from the branches above. A herd of ancient antelope burst through the forest, fleeing from something far worse. The troop scattered to avoid being trampled, leaping onto boulders, gripping branches, pressing themselves against tree trunks. Once the stampede passed, the matriarch descended, her gaze scanning the horizon. The once lush forest they depended upon was shrinking, month by month, taken by expanding savanna. Food had become unpredictable, shade was dying, and predators followed the opening grasslands. The troop gathered again, exchanging looks and gestures, no words, just instinct and the aching hunger in their bellies. The matriarch raised her arm and pointed toward the distant river. They would move. The voyage began instantly. They traveled light, scavenging berries and tubers as they walked. The male used a cracked stone to pry open a termite mound, scooping the insects with a curled leaf. The juveniles watched and mimicked him, their small hands learning ancient patterns. The infant stretched toward a dangling liana flower, its mother lowering her body so it could pluck it. Survival was rhythm. Every action mattered. As they reached the forest edge, a gust of dry heat slapped their faces. The savanna stretched endlessly before them, bright, merciless, shimmering in the midday sun. But the river lay far beyond that wide-open danger, glittering faintly. They hesitated. And then came the first twist. From behind them, a low rumble. Leaves trembling, birds exploding upward in alarm. A Machaeidus, an early saber-toothed predator, stalked between the trees, its eyes locked on the smallest juvenile. The creature advanced slowly, muscles rolling in silence. The dominant male hissed, raising his arms high. The females gathered into a tight formation around the infant. The predator lunged. The troop exploded into action. They ran across the open ground, the worst place to run, the place without cover. The Machaeidus bounded after them, closing fast. The youngest juvenile tripped on a root jutting from the thinning soil, tumbling hard. The predator's shadow fell over him. The matriarch turned back. She did not run to him. She leapt toward the predator, grabbing a fist-sized stone from the ground and smashing it fiercely against a jagged outcrop. The stone shattered, forming a crude but razor-sharp flake. The predator lunged at her instead, redirecting at the challenge, its massive fangs glinting. She struck. The sharp flake slashed across the predator's snout. It reared, stunned and furious. The dominant male seized the moment to throw a dead branch at its face. The juvenile scrambled up, limping, and sprinted toward the troop. Bleeding and startled, the Machaeidus backed off, growling, before retreating into the shade. The forest swallowed it again. The troop stood trembling. The matriarch's hand still clutched the blood-stained flake. The other females touched her shoulders with gratitude and fear. Survival cost energy, courage, and precious time. They had to reach water before nightfall. They continued. Hours passed beneath the burning sky. The savanna buzzed with insects. Dust clung to their fur. They foraged as they moved, digging roots with the sharp flake, gathering seeds from brittle grasses. The matriarch kept the tool close. It had saved them once, it might again. By afternoon, storm clouds began forming. The air thickened. Wind hissed across the plains. The second twist struck fast. Lightning split the sky. A sudden savanna storm, violent, unpredictable, rolled in. Sheets of rain hammered the ground. Thunder boomed with the force of falling trees. Wind tore branches from the few scattered shrubs, sending debris flying. The troop huddled under a slanted rock formation, gripping each other tightly. The infant wailed silently against his mother's chest. The dominant male shielded the juveniles with his body as cold water rushed around their feet and lightning struck repeatedly across the grasslands. When the storm finally passed, the landscape had transformed. Flash floods carved channels in the earth. Trees lay uprooted. The distant river, once a calm thread of life, now raged violently. But they had no choice but to approach. The riverbanks had become treacherous. Mud swallowed their ankles. Fallen branches created jagged obstacles. But the troop, driven by thirst, pushed forward. They drank from a small pool formed beside the rushing current, scooping water into cupped leaves. As they drank, they noticed something. Footprints. Fresh ones. Not of animals. Another hominin group. The prints were deeper, heavier individuals, and they led toward the river crossing. Competition. A threat. Resources were scarce, and the shrinking forest forced groups to overlap territory. The matriarch examined the prints, her brow furrowing. The dominant male sniffed the air, tense. The juveniles clung to the females. The other tribe could be allies or desperate rivals. A sound drifted through the humid air. A hooting call. Aggressive. Close. The rival troop emerged from behind a rocky rise. They were slightly larger Australopithecines, numbering 8. Their dominant male bore a broken canine and thick scars across his chest. He pounded the ground with a stone, threatening, claiming the riverbank. Both groups stood frozen, every muscle taut. A single wrong move meant chaos. The rival male charged first, rushing to scare them off. The dominant male of the matriarch's troop countered, raising his arms, shouting silently with open mouth, intimidation without speech. The rival's females circled around, attempting to flank toward the pool of water. The matriarch stepped forward. She did not attack. She raised her stone flake again, not as a weapon, but as a demonstration, a tool, a threat, a warning. The rival group hesitated. In that hesitation, something shifted. The broken-toothed male eyed the sharp flake, the same kind his own group had not mastered. His posture lowered, not submission, but recognition. He backed off slightly, signaling his group. The standoff dissolved without bloodshed. The rival troop moved downstream, accepting a different patch of river. Relief washed over the matriarch's group, a rare moment where intelligence, not violence, kept them alive. But dusk was coming, and dusk brought hunters. The troop scaled a rocky hill overlooking the river, seeking shelter. They found a shallow cave, more an indentation than true protection. Still, it shielded them from wind and predators circling below. They gathered close inside. The matriarch inspected the young juvenile's injured leg. She searched outside and returned with crushed herbs, pressing them gently onto the wound. The child winced, but relaxed as the pain dulled. The troop lay together in a tight cluster, sharing warmth. The dominant male kept watch at the cave mouth, eyes scanning the moonlit grass. Below them, the savanna glowed silver, alive with distant movements. Hyenas lurking, antelope grazing nervously, owls diving silently. Life continued. Hard. Beautiful. Merciless. As the stars deepened, the storm clouds cleared completely. A light breeze drifted through the cave, carrying the scent of wet earth and crushed leaves. The infant, finally calm, reached out and touched the matriarch's stone flake resting beside her. She gently pulled it away, but not before glancing at it with quiet reverence. A tool, a weapon, a symbol. It had marked a shift, not just in their day, but in their species. Foresight, intention, survival shaped by the mind as much as the body. The troop drifted into sleep, battered but alive. Tomorrow, the forest would shrink a little more. The savanna would stretch a little further. New predators would stalk, new choices would come. But tonight, they had endured. Tonight, the ancestors of humanity, small, fragile, fierce, held on to life together, under the ancient sky of a world forever changing. And their story, carved from instinct and struggle, continued.